Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger. Let me ask you a question. Is your business profitable? Now, there's a lot of sellers. You might think that's crazy. Everybody, you should know that, but a lot of sellers don't. A lot of people that I talk to don't know their numbers. And if you're in that position, don't beat yourself up because it's easy. A lot of us come into a business. We've never ran a business before. We've come from just working a regular job, and you start a business as a side hustle. And at some point it starts, you see money coming in and you're like, wow, I want to do this full time, or you just want to know how things are going, but you don't know how to do it. You don't even know if you're profitable at all. You don't know what you need to do to be able to quit that job. A year and a half or so ago, I was chatting with somebody in my Amazon Legends group who said that he wanted to quit his job, but had no idea if he was profitable enough to do that. It didn't even know what his numbers were. And that's okay. I see a lot of people that are in that position, but we want to correct that. And this is not a topic that a lot of people talk about. It's easier to talk about how to find, 50 replens in 30 days. It's easier to talk about, how to find all the profitable products, but you got in this business to make money. And we want to help you figure out if you're making money. So in this episode, I'm chatting with Kris Loveless. He's my friend. He's a bookkeeper who knows a lot about numbers and is a numbers guy, a data guy, and he's going to really break it down in this episode. In this episode, we talk about things like tax deductions that you might not even be aware of. We talk about how to know your numbers, how to know if you're profitable, where to get started with bookkeeping if you're not doing anything at all right now. So do not miss this episode. Here's my interview with Kris. Kris, welcome to Streams of Income Radio, man. I appreciate you being on with me.
Thanks, Ryan. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I love that coffee shop background. I was telling him before, for those of you listen to the podcast, you can't see it, but he has these really cool backgrounds on Zoom, and that he's a cool coffee shop background, and that coffee shop's never busy. I was concerned that it's not going to make it.
Again, the whole purpose is just so it can be a nice, quiet place away from home. And
right? If Are you in your office right now?
Yeah, I'm in my office right now. So.
I love those Zoom virtual backgrounds. That people are getting really creative with those, being at home and not having to. A lot of people aren't going to work, and so they may have like a mess behind them, and then these beautiful backgrounds, like they're at the beach or something.
Yeah, the funniest thing that happened yesterday, I was talking to a client and had a wonderful exotic background of this mountain on a city. City on a mountain, and he's like, hold on a second, it's dark in here, and he went and raised his blinds and turned on the lights.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell a difference. Like,
really?
Because it didn't affect the camera on the computer or anything. I'm like, you sure you turn on the lights? So it was just very weird. Normally you expect one thing and something else happens.
Wow. Cool. Well, Kris, tell me about your story. I know you started selling online and all that, and now you're helping me a ton in our Amazon Legends group, and I appreciate that. And we done a course together. But what's your background?
Sure. So my background is, I've gone from business to business over the many years, like most adults.
Sure.
Started selling in Amazon in 2018. We were in line at a grocery store, and I had been looking for a work from home business. And I turned around on the clearance end cap, and I saw these water bottles that were Camelbacks. They were great brand, and they were on clearance for $1.58. And then I looked them up on Amazon, and they were selling for $18.99. I was like, well, I'm going to go get 10 of those guys and see if I can just sell any of them. So,
wow. That was your first product?
That was my first product, a Camelback water bottle that was on clearance. So we sold them out, and I was like, okay, well, I'm hooked.
I got to find more of those. Did you find more of them?
No, I didn't. No.
That's the problem with clearance. It's
That's right.
awesome. It's awesome. You get great margins, but you can't always restock.
Yeah, but I was checking clearance for a long time. That was my first business model, was
Sure.
looking for clearance, and I would find all sorts of stuff on clearance. But you could never go from store to store generally and find the same things
Right.
for the stores I was at. Like if you were doing it at Walmart, you could, but
Sure.
not the stores I was at. So
Yeah, you were shopping at something that was more regional.
yeah, a regional grocery store.
Yeah, guys, that's a good tip right there. Is look for things that, I mean, everybody has access to Walmarts. And so if you can find those regional stores, you're going to find things that, Kris and I both live in Texas. You're going to find things that, we may not even have that store here. So therefore, we're not going to have access to it. And that means less competition for you. So regional stores, there's your tip for today.
Yep, definitely. So we started doing that, and then we started moving up. We're like, well, clearance is great, but it's not really sustainable to grow for a long period of time. So we switched over to shopping sales and doing OA, online arbitrage, where we could go out and look for coupons and discounted gift cards to help increase our profit margins. And we did that for quite a while, and then it was starting to become at a certain size. It was hard for us to start tracking when the sales are going to happen. And if it was on regular price for those particular items, they weren't profitable, but when they went on sale, they were profitable. And then we heard about Jimmy's replen course, Jimmy Smith's 0 to 100K. And we're like, replens make sense. We just need to get better at sourcing. So we jumped on there. We also started hiring a virtual assistant through Legends, and through that and our change sourcing method, we really propelled our business upwards, and we were doing between $30,000 and $40,000 a month on Amazon.
Wow! Oh my gosh! So you're a numbers guy, and let's talk that. And I want to get back to your story, but let's park there just for a second. You and I both know that we are in these groups and we see these folks post big numbers like that. And as a newer seller, you're like, gosh, how am I ever going to get to that number? I can't. Well, guys, you can. And those folks could be doing really well, but you never know. Those are just sales numbers. So, there's a lot of things that happen with an Amazon business. There's a lot of expenses, and we're going to talk about knowing your numbers today because it's so key. Kris and I, especially Kris, because he talks to people every day that have been doing this for a while and don't even know if they're being profitable, if they're even making any money. Of course, the sales are coming in and they see product flying out the door, and that's awesome. But the point is, you got into this business to make money, I bet. And so we want to help you figure out, are you making money? And if you're not, let's adjust some things in your business so that you are, because that's why you're doing this. So what was your return on investment, or what there's that main number, what profit on that 30 to 40K a month?
Yeah. So after all of our expenses, our net profit was about 21%.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, if you're making 40,000 a month in sales with a 21% profit margin, then you can do that as a full-time job,
Yeah, that's incredible. So would you say, let's talk about that for a second. All these people who post these numbers, Jimmy once said that most people are between 12 and 25% of the sales figure. Is that what you're seeing?
Yep, that's what I'm seeing. And we haven't gotten to it yet, but I do books for several different Amazon sellers, and that range is pretty accurate after all the expenses.
Yeah. So guys, if somebody's selling $10,000 a month in sales on Amazon or wherever, especially, Amazon will say that because of their fees, you can expect that person to be making between 10% and 25% profit on those sales numbers that you're seeing. And if they're not, then there's a problem in their business, and that's what Kris helps with. So, all right. So back to your story, you were doing 30 to 40K a month. Yep.
And then we decided, hey, we want to do something to help other people. Me and I do have some partners, Holly and Jason Wood. They're in Legends as well.
Yeah.
But we decided we wanted to start helping people in addition to doing our selling. So we're like, well, let's learn the trademarking process and the business formation process. And we did a bunch of research. We've been through the trademark. We have our own brand. And we sell our own branded stuff on Amazon.
Yeah.
And then we got involved with KLC bundles with Leanna and Sherry and myself
Yeah.
and everybody. So we go out and we research keywords and opportunities on Amazon, and we help assemble bundles so that we can provide you the full listing, the source, the pricing of your bundles. So, they're pretty much pre-made bundles, and then it's just we provide the education to help you launch your bundles. And if it's not selling as well as you liked, we have some suggestions for tweaking and doing more research and stuff like that. But we started seeing some really good stories come out of our bundle service, and we're like, we're really helping people. And I said, what? After talking to a lot of these people, I see a great need for people to really know the numbers of their entire business, because they know how to sell a product. They know how to measure the performance of one product. But if I say, what's your overall business like? Are you profitable month after month? Are you coming up with your goal and your business plan to reach your goal? A lot of them said no, that they were just really focusing on that particular month and the actual sales.
Yeah.
And I said,
we see that a lot, guys. I mean, he's mentioned a couple links. There, the Replens course and the KLC bundles, and I'll have those links in the show notes at streamsofincomeradio.com. I see that too, Kris. I'm talking to some people there, and it's natural because a lot of us, I had no business background before any of this. And so you start an Amazon business as a side hustle while you're probably working a full-time job. And then you start seeing some success and you realize, wow, I've never ran a business before. I don't know what I'm doing. I see products going out and money's coming back into my account, but how much of it is actual profit? And I was talking to somebody who was in our Legends group a couple of years ago. Now he's on the right track, but he was saying, I want to quit my job, but I have no idea if I'm even being profitable. And he saw sales again, but he didn't know how much of that was profit. And so that's, I thought, we got to figure this out, and we got to figure out how to, because I know there's other people that are listening to us right now that are like, that's me. I've been doing this for a while. Even if you just started, there are some things that you can put into place that we'll talk about so that you're not 2 years down the road thinking, oh man, now I got 2 years worth of books to figure out. So we'll talk about those steps that you guys can take, but there's so many. Don't beat yourself up. If you're in that position, don't beat yourself up. Just make a change right now that you're going to figure this out, because this is the part of the business most people don't talk about. It's not, as we said in our course, Kris, this is not to you, it's exciting because you're a numbers guy. To a guy like me who's not a data guy, this is not the exciting part of the business. Of course, it's exciting when you see money coming into your account, and that's fun. And then you go out and source more, but it's not, quote, sexy part of the business. We're not talking about how to find 50 replens in 2 days, how to grow your business, to $1 million and all that. It's, but it's those things that if you don't have this correct, then you don't even know if you have a business.
That's
so
right.
You've got to get this figured out. And so guys, if you're here and you're like, I'm in that position, I don't know if I'm being profitable, then hang on, listen to Kris, because we're going to give you he's going to give you some awesome tips to get on track and to know that you're being profitable. And if you're not, then you can make those changes.
Good deal. Yeah. So one of the things that's a heavy influence on my life, and people love him or hate him, it's Dave Ramsey. So I came up with the idea of selling on Amazon after listening to one of his shows, and he was mentioning selling e-commerce as a way as a side hustle.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I can do that, and I had this grand vision of me just sitting at home with my computer, with my cup of coffee and a comfy recliner, and just surfing the web for deals all day, and then having them magically appear at Amazon for sale, and it doesn't quite work that way, but it can after a fashion. But there is a lot of hard work that you need to do to put into it to actually have an actual business. So
right.
Some place to start. A lot of people don't know how to track finances, and that's okay. Our education system doesn't necessarily teach that. It's something that you have to learn. So the first thing you can do is just come up with a simple checkbook register. You can use Excel on your computer. You can have one of those old-fashioned ledger books, that accountants use, and it's basically just a line journal. And it'll just say, okay, well, today, and you just put the date. You could say Walmart, and you could say $200 in inventory, and just start making a list like that for yourself, and just track every penny that you spend on your business. There are softwares out there that are great for inventory management and have some accounting features to them, but they're kind of difficult to maintain. It's not a true accounting software if it doesn't connect with your bank and reconcile with your bank. So just getting started, all you really need to do is make a list for yourself and just write down every penny that you spend on your business and why you spent that money. That'll go a long way to helping you get organized.
Yeah. So would you recommend something like an inventory lab type of software?
I would for inventory, but I would not use their accounting functions, so to speak. It is a little bit difficult, but most importantly, it does not connect to your financial institution. So that means you're going to be manually entering every single thing from scratch. And it's manual data entry is always prone to human error, So, I mean, you can do it. I've seen lots of people do it. I've helped people convert off of that to an accounting software. So it is possible. And they did a pretty good job setting something up for those that had nothing. So you could do that. Or again, you can use Excel. Godaddy Bookkeeping is another alternative that people like to start off with.
I think is that like $10 a month or something, Godaddy?
Yeah, you can get different plans.
Sure. And I think that integrates perfectly with Amazon, doesn't it?
It does. It pulls down some good info. The issue I see with the GoDaddy is it doesn't do a very good job helping you with your balance sheet.
Okay.
And that's an accounting term. Your balance sheet just tells you how much your business is worth. It says at the end of the month, you have all this money in each of your different accounts, and this is what your business is worth. Assets, liabilities. And GoDaddy Bookkeeping has a hard time that I've seen tracking your long-term loans. Like if you had business loans or something like that, it doesn't do a very good job with that. But overall, it's a great thing to get started. It's if you have nothing, again, go for it, man. And that could be transitioned to a much more robust system as you grow.
Sure.
But right at the beginning, it'll work.
Yeah. So at the if I was a brand new seller, Kris, and I'm like, gosh, I don't even know if this is really going to work for me yet. Haven't seen a ton of sales yet, so I'm a little bit nervous. I don't really want to spend a lot of extra money. You would recommend just using Excel to get started and post those things there?
Either Excel or if you're more comfortable with papers, paper and pen, do it that way.
Sure.
So, because I mean, in reality, when you're first getting started, your first month, you might have 10 purchases.
Yeah.
And then the next month you might have 25 to 60. And even that, if you just write them down at the end of every day or every morning when you wake up so you don't forget, then that is not cumbersome at all. It's when you start getting up to the larger numbers where you start having 200 400 transactions, 600 transactions a month. And by a transaction I just mean a charge to your credit card or a charge to your debit card or however you pay for things. That does get cumbersome if you're doing.
So for a new person, you'd suggest either pen and paper or Excel, or if they're okay with spending that $10 a month like GoDaddy. Let's say after somebody's been selling 5 or 6 months and they're starting to see some sales and like, hey, this is working. And short of hiring a bookkeeper, we'll get to that because I think that's the ultimate way to go. Just hire that stuff out. But what would be that intermediate step? Would it still be GoDaddy for a while, or is there something like QuickBooks Online that you'd suggest?
Yeah, I mean, that's how we run our business is QuickBooks Online.
What's the price on that?
It depends. So the price goes anywhere from, I think, $25 a month up to like $125 a month. And let me just pull that up just to make sure while we're talking. But you can go through a bookkeeper and accounting firm. They might be able to offer you discounts.
And when you hire a bookkeeper, don't they usually have that included in the price? Like, Or am I wrong on that? Like if I hire a bookkeeper and it's $200 a month, for example, doesn't that include like the QuickBooks Online that they use?
Yeah, so our business does that model, but some businesses don't. And one of the limitations is the QuickBooks plan itself. So if you already have QuickBooks Online and you've been using it and you're just looking for a bookkeeper, then it would be a lot of effort to get your data over to the accountant's QuickBook plan. They call it QuickBooks for Accountants.
Okay.
And it's doable though, and I mean it is a service, but I misspoke. They go from $15 a month up to $150 a month.
15 to 150. Okay.
Yeah, and then if you go, a lot of people have virtual assistants or 1099s that they have to keep track of. The Plus online QuickBooks Online Plus plan is the most popular. That'll help you do that, and that generally sticker price for the shelf is $70 a month.
Okay. Good to know. All right. With all your clients that you're now getting, what are you seeing? What are some of the trends that when they come to you, what are the issues you're having to help solve?
Well, right now it's number one issue I'm seeing for multiple clients is mixing personal expenses with business expenses. So it's so important as a business to keep your business finances separated from your personal finances. So there's a lot of reasons for that. And just much like you're forming a business, you know, if you go and set up a LLC or a corporation, those are completely separate entities. If anything were to happen and they went after your business, they can only reach into your business assets to make a collection. So the problem is if you mix your personal and business accounts, then all of a sudden they have complete access to all your personal accounts as well. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to open yourself up. I mean, you're working hard for your money. You're working to make that profit. You want to keep that completely separate out of the business once it's yours.
So what is most people start this as a sole proprietor. They're just, just Ryan Rieger starting to sell on Amazon. What is your advice for them on how to make sure that they keep that line of separation? Yeah.
So from day one, use a checking account that's completely isolated from your personal stuff. That will get you so far. And
so then set up a brand, you would suggest setting up like a free checking account under maybe a DBA, or does it have to be a DBA, or could it just be Ryan Rieger's second account?
It can just be Ryan Rieger's second account just to get started. You might want to consider doing it at a bank that does commercial banking. There's some banks that do and some that don't. But my absolute favorite is local credit unions. There's so much more able to work with you as a client, and they generally, from what I've seen for the most part, really make you feel like part of the family when you go there. You actually get an account manager that's the same person every time. You can go in face to face and chat with them and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do in my business. What can you do to help me out? And they have some, I mean, it's good to build a rapport with your bank.
So that's totally free, guys. Most places you can open up a free checking account. So I'm looking for ways, the easy way for people to get started and not be like, oh my gosh, I just started this brand new business. Another thing I want to ask you about is profitability on the first few months. Because some people get into the business and think, oh my gosh, I've been doing this a month and I actually lost money. And that happens with Amazon because of their fees, and they have a $40 per month fee if you're on the professional plan. And it can be very discouraging as a brand new seller when you see that first. You think, man, I've been working so hard, and maybe you spend a couple grand on inventory, but it's all sitting in Amazon and hasn't sold yet. So you're not seeing any of that profit yet, or maybe even sales yet. And you just got to push through that. It will happen. Remember, guys, if you started a restaurant, for example, you may not be profitable for a few years. And so this is an opportunity where literally with no money, you can get started with the business, and in a couple of months, start seeing something come in. And and there's other strategies we can talk about where you could make money in a couple days, like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, buying stuff at garage sales. But right now we're talking about Amazon. So I definitely want to get to that, the profitability in the first couple months.
No problem.
But okay, so the free checking account, separate checking account. And you would also suggest a separate, when I'm out buying purchases at Walmart or Target or online, and using a separate credit card.
Yes. Or you could always, generally most online places take PayPal. So a PayPal account is free, and you can link that to your separate bank account that you stood up. So you don't necessarily have to have a credit card.
Okay.
What I really like knowing is that any inventory I buy it with cash. And so my inventory that I bought with cash is sitting in a warehouse waiting to be sold. That relieves so much pressure, so because if you're having a credit card payment that's due every single month, you're like, well, I've got to sell enough money to pay off the credit card, and I've got to sell enough product to pay this bill or that bill. But if you're paying it all with cash, you sleep so much better at night. So that's one of the things I like to help clients, if they ask, is come up with a business plan. And in that business plan, for the first period of time that they set, show them how to get out of the debt cycle.
That's good. Yeah. We can have an argument about that. Some people are okay with using credit cards to get started, and I think it's okay if you're responsible about it. But man, Kris is right. If you're doing it with all cash, then it's just, you can just totally sleep easier at night when you don't have that credit card bill looming. We see so many people that get in a cycle where you put money on a credit card, buy a bunch of inventory, send it into Amazon. It's not selling. Oh man, credit card bills due. I gotta have to drop these prices to get my money back to pay that bill, and then it's just a bad cycle. So, just make sure you're wise about that if you do use credit cards for your inventory.
Yeah, a truth about selling online in places like Walmart and also Amazon and eBay is there are a lot of people out there trying to make money just like you, and so they have different strategies for buying products. They have different sources for buying products, but generally, if you can hold out for any given amount of time, prices generally rise back up for a lot of different products.
Exactly.
So buying cash for things allows you to do that because you're not accruing interest, you're not having a credit card payment, that type of thing.
Which is a whole other podcast episode we could have, which is if you were starting with $500, for example, you don't want to buy something that's going to take you 60 days to sell. You want that money to turn over as fast as possible so you can pump that back in your business, buy more inventory. All that whole separate topic. Okay, so the first, anything else about that line of separation, the separate account, separate credit card if you're using a credit card, or a separate PayPal account? What else would you suggest?
That's it for now. And then once you start making a decent amount of money and you decide that, hey, this is right for me, then go ahead and jump in and create your LLC. It's one of the easiest things to do. It has less reporting requirements than a corporation does. Overall, by and large, that's what I'm seeing in the market is most people have LLCs. So once you have the money to do that, and it's generally, if you do it yourself, it's generally every state has a filing fee, and every state is different. A fact, you don't even have to live in a particular state to do business formation there. So we're located in Texas, and maybe we find out that the business laws are more favorable, or if we file a business formed over in Maryland. So then we would go over and actually file for a business license from Maryland, and we would be a Maryland company, and all of our employees and staff is sitting over here in Texas. So Maryland, New York, Montana, Wyoming, just there are benefits. So
when would you suggest somebody looking at an LLC? Because most people start with the sole proprietor because it's easy. At what point would you suggest them to seriously take a look at that?
It's a business risk, so if you're out there and you're making $10,000 a month, are you at risk of having a defect problem or being sued for anything? Likely not, if you're just reselling other people's products that have been on the market for a while. But if you come up with your own product, then you want to do that from day one.
If you're doing private label, that makes sense.
If you're doing, if you're going for a trademark, do it before you go for your trademark. If you're making, I would say at least $10,000 more or month, then you'd want to do that. Because
in profit,
no, just total revenue.
Total revenue. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because Amazon, if you do $10,000 a month in sales for, I think it's 3 consecutive months, then Amazon wants you to get business insurance.
Okay.
So it's a lot easier, more favorable rates if you have an LLC and then you reach out to an insurance company to get the general liability insurance that Amazon requires.
Sure. Okay. All right. So we got the line of separation that you've seen people. That's the biggest thing. What are some other things that you see them that they're having issues with across the board?
Just one of them is not capturing all their expenses. So yeah, you know, if you buy one product and that's an expense, but they forget about bubble wrap, they forget about tape, boxes, shipping, they forget about, you know, a printer, a computer, all the different things that go along with having a business. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that miss writing down those expenses, and it's really hurts you in the long run, because all of those things are tax deductible from your business. So if you are selling, let's just say you're selling on Amazon and you sell $10,000, and then you, after your product cost and after your Amazon fees, you're left over with about $3,000. Well, that $3,000 is what you would be taxed on unless you have other business expenses. Yeah.
And so if you're selling on Amazon, guys, you do have other expenses.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's education, there's group memberships, there's all the software cost. Yeah. You're going to have to, and we'll get mileage is good.
As if you're doing retail arbitrage, you can, if I drive from here to Walmart and I track that and go back, that's probably going to be for me 10 miles. And so is it 50? What's the rate now? 57?
Yeah, it changes. It fluctuates. I have
goes up every year, doesn't it?
Well, sometimes it's actually come down. It goes up and down, but most of the time it goes up. But so speaking of mileage, I had to. I was helping as another sourcing strategy do consignment. So some people wanted to get rid of the stuff. It was an estate sale, and they're like, okay, well, you sell it everything, you'll get a portion of the profit. And I said, okay, great. So I had literally a 10 by 15 storage locker given to us to sell on their behalf.
Wow.
And it was just like Auction Hunters or Storage Wars, you know. Yeah. We had no idea what we were getting into. Yeah. So we went through that whole process, and we actually sold some larger pieces of furniture that in other places of the state. And we ended up driving 12 hours to drop it off.
Oh my gosh.
And well, it's 6 hours one way, 6 hours back. You know, we're in Texas, so 6 hours means you're still in Texas.
Still in the same state, yes.
But some states that's not true. We used our personal vehicles, and we drove it all the way up there and drove it all the way back. So we got quite a bit of mileage out of that trip.
Yeah. And so like I don't know what the rate is, guys, but if it's like 50 cents a mile, essentially, you know, I would be able to deduct $5 on my taxes for my trip, for that one trip to Walmart. And, you know, anything you do, we should chat about some of the tax deductions that people may be missing. Let's do that real quick. What are some of the things that you see that people don't even think about, or just what are the most common things that an e-commerce seller can deduct?
Yeah, so the most common things, again, all your software subscriptions, your educational courses.
If you're a member of the Amazon Legends group, for example, that's all tax deductible. Yep, you go to a conference.
Yeah, it's all considered like business consulting type fees. If you hire a VA service for, you know, to get some help, so VAs are deductible. If you pay somebody as a 1099 straight out, if you let me see, you're paying gas, like you can reimburse gas or mileage. So you could just buy a tank of gas. Meals, there's rules around that, but if you have a business meal or you're outsourcing and you're there and you're like, well, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my business. So this is a business meal.
Yeah. Can you deduct 50% of that? So you and I go out to a Mexican place and it's $50. I can deduct 25.
Yeah, generally.
Okay.
And then it's funny around alcohol, so be careful. All right. So then, you can deduct your electricity. You can deduct your water. You can deduct your home off a certain area if you have a home office. Your square footage that can be deductible.
That's probably one that people miss.
Mm-hmm.
I bet.
Yeah.
So if you guys tell me this is the right way to do this. Let's say your house is, just for sake of, it's going to be a small house, but 1,000 square feet. Mm-hmm. And you have a room that is your prep room. If you only use that for the business, is that right? It can't be like also a family room, but if it's only used for the business and it's 250 square feet and your mortgage is $1,000 a month, then you could deduct then $250 of that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's generally how it works. Again, I'm not going to give CPA advice over the webinar here, but that would not be good. Number one, I'm not a CPA, but I work with a couple.
Sure.
But yeah, you can do that. There's also a maximum deduction that you can do for a year for space. So like literally we get our tape measure out and we say, okay, well, the square footage that we use for our office is this, the square footage we use for prep is this. Mm-hmm. And as long as you're routinely using it, you can count it as being necessary for your business. Sure. So, people with one room apartments are lucky if you use, if you're there and you have all your stuff stacked in there. If you could live, in between all the boxes and stuff, then you can, the one room apartment's deductible. So
wow, yeah. And then guys, like you mentioned, electricity, your utilities. And I appreciate you saying that. I don't want to give somebody like, oh, Ryan said that you could do this, I'm going to go do it, and now you got an audit and you're mad at me. Don't do that, but definitely talk to CPA about this stuff. But like if your electric bill is $100 a month and you're able to deduct 25% of that, those are things that people probably don't think about, is the use of their home.
Don't forget your internet and your phone plan.
There you go. Yeah.
Because you now have a business phone, because I guarantee you just about every Amazon seller has the app on their phone. Right. And if you're not sourcing with it, you're at least checking it for updates and business tasks that you have to do.
Yep. So, if you have to buy a new computer for the business,
new computer chair, printer, Dymo, labels.
What about like, I need a massage? Okay. What about this? I don't want to get you in trouble, but I need a new massage chair for my online arbitrage. I want to sit back and I don't know. I bet some CPAs would allow you to deduct that.
You do. You just pretty much say it's a chair. You don't go into the fact that it rubs your calves and all that type of thing.
This $2,000 chair is necessary for my business.
Well, the government sometimes says they have a $7,500 toilet. So
that's right. If they can buy a $7,500 toilet, I can buy a $2,000 massage chair. Oh my gosh!
Again. Our business, we work with CPAs to get the books ready for them to review, and the CPAs are the ones that know all the official rules. So,
all right. Any other deductions you think that people might not be thinking about? That
no, those are the biggest ones. Okay. There's all sorts of stuff. It just and a lot of it's dependent on your business model, right? Sure. So. But software is one that is that sourcing lists. A lot of people pay other companies to source for them, and the cost of all that is deductible. Yeah. So, so that's pretty much it. So paying your bookkeeper is also tax deductible. It's a business expense. Yeah. And if you go out and I was talking to somebody and they literally are beyond capacity in their vehicle when they go do RA, and their time would be much better spent if they had a larger vehicle. So you can go rent a sourcing vehicle for a weekend if you're going to be doing some heavy sourcing in some nearby surrounding towns, so you don't always have to be driving back home. Yep. That's deductible. If you buy a business vehicle, that's deductible. That's a big deduction. Yeah. Most people can't especially when you're starting, you're not going to be able to pay cash for that unless you've saved up for a long time.
Sure.
But deductible.
Yeah. This is the end of the year, Kris. What are some things you would suggest? Again, I don't want to get you over into any trouble, but we could talk about things that people could be doing right now to be thinking of saving taxes for 2020. Things like if you have to have, I'll throw some things out here and you can add on to them. But if you guys have any subscriptions that are monthly, some of these places have annual subscriptions. So if you're paying $10 a month for something, you might be able to get a discount and pay $100 for the whole year and pay up for 2021. So look at any subscriptions you have and see if you can do, if you want to maximize your deductions and you're going to be spending this money anyway, go the annual route on some of these things. If there's any equipment that you think you're going to need to purchase, you could go ahead and do that now and reduce your taxes, the 2020 taxes. What are some other things you can think about that might be able to reduce those?
You stole the good ones.
Oh, sorry. I got, those are the obvious ones that those novice can remember. Any large purchase. So now would be actually a good time to buy that vehicle if somebody
it would be. Plus you get your end of year deals at the dealership. So but you could go, and if you say you're doing the handmade side of stuff, you could buy a whole lot of product material.
There you go. Or buy a bunch of bubble wrap, buy a bunch of boxes.
Yeah, buy all your shipping supplies. Buy some new prep tables. Buy some new printers.
That massage chair.
That's definitely a massage chair. Yeah, that's the best suggestion I've heard all day. So.
Okay, guys, if anybody does that, I need you to take a picture of you using that sourcing, doing online arbitrage, and send it to me. Oh man.
So,
awesome.
But
buy a new computer. I mean, I think Mac just came out with a new 13-inch MacBook Pro or something. I don't know. I'm not going to need it, but anything like that, like, you need a new iPhone for sourcing, a new Android for sourcing. There you go, right there.
Some people have multiple phones for sourcing because one of them runs out of battery. So go buy some new phone batteries and some rechargers.
Yeah.
So anything like that. I mean, generally people know what to spend on their business and what tools they use. It's always a great time to upgrade your tools. If you're working out a garage, maybe you go buy some shelving.
Yeah.
Maybe there's lots of information and legends about an efficient way to set up a prep area. So maybe you do a prep area remodel at the end of the year. So that's another great business activity. Plus you'll want to kind of clean out from the Q4 clutter. So that's always a good thing. Yeah,
very good thing. Okay. I want to get back to real quick and then we'll wrap this up. We're going to talk about that course that you did, but the being profitable in the first few months of your business. I hear people's, I see the frustrations in the group when they just get started, they spend all this money. And guys, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get started. Even if you just spend a few $100s, it may take some time for that to come back, depending on, you might be able to sell something right away. But sometimes if you don't make a great buying decision, or just for whatever reason, Amazon takes forever to check it in. If you're using FBA, it might take some time for you to start being profitable. So any encouragement you give somebody to just to hang in there, stay the course, because this does work.
Definitely it works. One of the things that I'm seeing is everybody's trying to make a profit in 1 month, and it doesn't necessarily work that way. I mean, if you sold all your inventory every 30 days, then yes, it would work that way. But e-commerce isn't like that for the most part. So what you want to do is pay attention to what you're actually selling. And you can show yourself, even on the first sale, you can say, well, I made $3 profit on this sale. So that sale is profitable. And then the rest of it is an investment in your business for future sales. So that's why a balance sheet is so important, because you can say, okay, I have $300 of inventory. I have $600 of assets with the computer and all that type of thing, and that is all positive to your business.
Yeah.
And then on the liability side, you're like, okay, well, I have this much that of expenses that I have on my credit card, and this is how much of my personal money I invested, and those are your liabilities. And then the difference between those is your equity in the business. So going through and setting up a balance sheet will actually tell the story of your business. And it's easy enough once you get used to looking at a balance sheet to see how your funds go from your liabilities to your assets, and your liabilities go down. Yeah. And that means you're on a positive trajectory to being a profitable business. So it's important not to try to say, well, I invested $5,000 this month and I need to get $5,000 this month, or otherwise I'm not profitable. That's not the case. Yeah. So just look at your individual sales and only measure based off of what has sold, and that'll help adjust your view on what it means to be profitable and not profitable. Yes. There is a break-even point later on where, and you can set it depending on how much you invest within the first 12 months, within the first 6 months, that you could pay yourself back within that extended period of time, so that the only money left in the business is your equity and all the assets of the business, so that there's no money due back to your personal finances. That's good. There is a lady, and I talk about one of the main reasons I really wanted to do this and help people is she was in her 60s, and she had a retirement account, and she was pulling money out of her retirement account to continue to buy inventory just every month, just pulling money out of her retirement account over and over again. Number one, we don't want anybody pulling money out of your retirement account. You have all sorts of tax penalties. But if you were doing that, we want you to stop and then take a look at what you're doing, because what was happening is she was making sales and sales and sales.
So she's thinking, yay, this is working.
That's right. But if you're making sales and sales and sales, and yet you continue to pull from your personal bank accounts to keep funding the business, then something's not working right. Because at some point, you need to stop pulling money out of your personal and let the business just do what the business can with the business funds. And I was just like, how long have you been doing this? And she's like, well, at least, over a year and a half. And I'm like, and how much have you put back into your retirement account? And she's like, nothing. I'm like, we need to correct that. We need to get you on a business plan. Let's examine your inventory system. Let's examine your returns. Let's see if you have any write-offs that you can get, any donations, any, destroyed product. And just really work together to try to figure this thing out, because you need to have your business paying for your business. You don't need to be funding your business from your personal funds after the initial startup.
Wow. I hate hearing stories like that. There was a lady in our Legends group that works with a group of ladies. They're one business, and they emailed me and said they've been doing this for 2 years and haven't been profitable, and said, is that normal? Like, no, it's not normal. Something's wildly wrong, and we hooked her up with Christy Hertzler and got them on track. But guys, if you're in that position where you feel like you're not making money, or even if you just got started, you start doing it right from the beginning. It doesn't mean you have to spend the money to hire a bookkeeper from the outset. But I mean, if you can, that's probably the best way to go. But at the very beginning, try to cut down as many expenses as possible, and at least do something to where, what Kris was saying, write down those expenses and what you're spending, and put it on even Excel spreadsheet if you have to.
Don't overspend on inventory. Like if you think that your entry into Amazon is selling 10,000 watch bands, then don't do that.
Don't do that at all.
You need to know what's really selling in the areas you want to sell in. And like some people could get into this business, go, I want to do sporting goods and become the next REI, or something along those lines. But you actually get in there and go, wow, sporting goods is really competitive. Maybe I'm going to switch over to kitchen towels. Right. And make a 180 degree shift. So don't go big on inventory purchases right at the beginning.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So you mentioned we could do a whole episode, several episodes about how much to take out in the whole profit first method. Instead of going into that, that's in the course. So talk about so guys, we put together a course called Know Your Numbers. I mean, it's all Kris's content. He is the man on this, and we'll share the link. It's if you go to amzlegends.com/numbers, amzlegends.com/numbers, you can get that. It's also, we'll have it in the show notes at streamsofincomeradio.com. But some of the, just reading this off the sales page here, Kris, some of the things like how to set up your business the right way, simple accounting systems that you can use right away, what Amazon reports to pay attention to. That's a big one because there's so many reports. It's confusing. What in the world should I even look at? What's a P&L statement, a profit and loss statement, and a balance sheet, and why you should care. Covered a little bit about that. How to pay yourself first. Guys, you want to make sure you're profitable. So he talks about that. That's a big one. A lot of people don't know. You want to put everything, but you want to put as much back in the business as you can so you can grow it. But also at some point, you want to start, especially, here's another thing, especially if you have a spouse who's like not on board with all of this, and they're not seeing money come back into the checking account. They're thinking that it's not working. And there might be that pressure there to, hey, you need to go back to work and go back to a regular job. We've seen that so many times. And so you want to start paying yourself, how to know what's going right in your business, how to know what's going wrong in your business and how to correct it, how to evaluate return on investment, how to know your margins, and then what a drip fund is. Those are some of the things that we pointed out. Anything else you want to say about the course?
No, I mean, it's really designed to be taken sequentially. So taken from like, how do I start a business all the way up to how much do I need to sell every month to hit my monthly goal, right? Because Ryan said, Kris, how much do I need to sell to come home from work? Can you help me figure that out?
Yes, that's the one thing. There was a spreadsheet in there, guys, that will make this. There's a spreadsheet that Kris put together that makes this whole investment in this course. It's only $97, but makes that worth it. Talk about that spreadsheet.
Yeah, so the spreadsheet is set up and it takes into account all the different math between I want to make $3,000 a month as my income, and then it steps you all the way out to how much product do I need to buy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different steps and numbers in there that you will know how to fill out if you go through the whole course.
Yeah.
So one of the numbers is your return on investment for your products. Another one of them is your profit margin per item, your investment, your average buy cost for each product, your average profit per product, your turnaround time. So if you sell every 30 days, obviously you can double. I mean, you can make profit on that same money 12 times a year versus just doing it every 90 days. So making profit on the same money 4 times a year. So obviously you want to get faster to 12. And Christy actually said that one day she pulled up her metric and it was 15 turns a year. She sells so fast. So
my goodness.
So I mean, it's like making 10 cents on the dollar 15 times. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
But she makes a lot more than 10 cents on the dollar.
Sure.
So, but that whole worksheet is designed to help people understand that if I want to make $2,000 a month or $4,000 a month, then this is what I need to go out and spend on inventory every single month, assuming that I can hit all of my averages. So it's a great thing to help you build a business plan.
Absolutely. And it's because so many people come to me and it will still say I need to make X amount of dollars per month, say it's $5,000. Sure, that's great, and you could easily get that. That's not that difficult in an Amazon business, but they don't know how to do it, and that just ends up being just a random. I mean, it's not a random number because that may be what they need to quit their job, but it's so much easier if you can narrow it down to, okay, that $5,000 a month equates to 150 products that I need to be selling every month. And that means, okay, I'm selling 50 a month. So I need to go find 100 more replenishable products. How am I going to find 100 more? Well, I can probably spend the next 3 months and do 30 a month for the next 3 months, and I'm there. So sometimes it's easier to focus on the number of products that you have to source rather than how much sales I need to get to.
Right.
So that spreadsheet's brilliant, and I'm glad you put that together, and that's inside the course there. Also, talk about your bookkeeping, because there's going to be people that are like, it's time. I need to just hire this out.
Yeah.
And how can they get in touch with you?
So we have a website. It's lwtservices.com. You can go on there, and I like to do my consults in the evening hours or on the weekends. Because during the day I'm cranking people's books and doing a lot of meetings with clients and talking to them about questions. But we have a dedicated staff of bookkeepers.
Awesome.
We're growing. We're also forming relationships with more than one CPA, so that if you need CPA work, we can give you some good referrals that know what our books look like. So it'll actually save you money with the CPA, because for a CPA, they have to understand like how your books are set up, and they have to review them for reasonableness and get a good solid understanding of how your business is. But with them working with us, I'll be like, here's our standard chart of accounts, and everybody follows the standard. And the only difference would be if you sell in 6 marketplaces, you'd have a few more accounts set up, but it's all the same methodology. We're going to be asking for receipts. We're going to be reconciling to your actual bank statements. And we're going to get that to you as timely as possible. One of the most frustrating things is having to wait 30 days for your numbers. And you don't want to do that. Our goal after an onboarding period is to where we touch your account every single week, and you can go into your QuickBooks plan that we provide, and you can pull your numbers, and we'll teach you how to pull your numbers. We'll teach you how to manage your receipts. We'll teach you how to get your statements up there. And anyway, it's working out great for a lot of people. One of the people says that it was such a relief for her to be able to focus on growing her business. And I'm talking about,
because Kris, this is not most people's skill set. There's a lot of people out there like you that can probably do this on their own, but there's way more that can't and shouldn't. And your job as an Amazon seller is to find more inventory. That's it. And anytime you're spending doing this stuff that's out of your skill set, it's going to just take time away from what you really should be doing. And this is a whole other conversation, but that outsourcing conversation, meaning what's your hourly pay worth? And you are costing yourself if you are trying to do this stuff yourself, because it's going to take you 3 times as long as what Kris can do it. And so add up your hourly pay times whatever, how long it takes you to do your books, and he can do it much faster. You're saving money by hiring a bookkeeper. And I know all of you are there yet, and that's okay. But get to that point where that's not even something you think about. You can just say, here, do it. Then you can have the reports, and then you can make wise decisions based on, what the reports he comes up with. Talk about real quick, because e-commerce is a different animal. Why you want to probably go with somebody who is used to e-commerce, because it's different, isn't it?
There's a lot of bookkeepers out there that are great at keeping books for a traditional brick and mortar, but they have no idea all the different fees and reports available from each of these e-commerce platforms. They'll come and you can look in there, and there's no less than 30 different fees and credits that you get every single month from just Amazon. It's not even talking about eBay, PayPal, Walmart, e-commerce, Jet, Etsy, Newegg, all those different places. So it takes a bit for them to wrap their heads around how does e-commerce actually function. Right. Especially if you're using FBA, which a lot of people are. There's just so much to do that they just don't know how to set up the chart of accounts. Right. They don't know how to treat inventory correctly sometimes. So there's just a lot to keep track of, and it is a little bit different animal. I've transitioned people away from other bookkeepers to our service just due to the fact that their bookkeeper couldn't ever understand all the different fees and stuff that they're looking at.
Another stream of income idea for you is training other bookkeepers on this stuff.
I like it. I'm happy to do that one. So and then once I train them, I'm going to have them work for me.
Exactly. There you go. Because there's so many, there's so many clients out there, and it's not really going to hurt you at all. I mean, might be somebody who's like, I just love my bookkeeper. I want to continue working with him or her, but gosh, they don't know e-commerce. Well, hey, bookkeeper, go listen to Kris and go take his course. So, all right.
And
So that was
another
lwtservices.com.
Right, LWT services.
Guys, that'll be I'll also put a link in the show notes, and our course is in there. Well, Kris's course that I just helped launch. I'm on there, but it just kind of as a pretty face there. all Kris's content. Kris, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you doing this. This has probably been one of the longest episodes we've ever done, but it's important because I don't want people to be in that position where, sales are coming in, but they're actually not making any money, because you know what my heart is. Mm-hmm. And you and I both get to work from home, and I want more dads to be home. And if they are cranking hard, working hard, and they are seeing sales, but they're not profitable, well, they're not going to be able to quit their jobs and ultimately be able to be home with their family. So that's why I do this. And I'm honored to partner with you to help people get to that. So thank you.
I'm truly honored just to know you, Ryan. You have a wonderful heart, and I truly believe in you and what you're trying to do with everybody. And my heart's just to help people, and even if I'm not going to be your bookkeeper, we can get together, we can talk about your business. Mm-hmm. If you want an audit of your books, we can do that to help you give us some suggestions to your current bookkeeper. Yeah. I just really like helping people learn in their businesses, and it's awesome to get the great comments that we're getting back about how much we've helped, how much stress we've taken out of people's lives. Yes. And we're just a community of sellers. Yep. And we should all be able to help support each other. And down the road, if everybody's doing great, it's going to create endless possibilities to team up and do some really great things. Yeah. So I just really love the group. So
well, thanks for being a part of it, man. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll have you back on, because there's so much more we could dive into, especially the whole profit first model and all of that. So
we have a whole at least 8 hours in the course.
That's right. We do. That's right. Just grab the course. So
we could go through that.
Honestly, that spreadsheet is worth the investment in the course. That spreadsheet, that'll help you figure out how much inventory you need to have to reach your goal. So go grab that.
That's not the only spreadsheet. We also
right. There's lots of spreadsheets in there.
I put out a lot of content. There's a sample a sample register you could use. There's sample monthly reports. There's all sorts of stuff in there that you can use.
Yeah. So love it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.